I've got some troubling news about England's royal family.
Just when it appeared that tensions between Prince Harry, Meghan, and the royal family were finally beginning to ease, a new controversy emerged that reignited public attention and speculation.
A guy named Jeff Rayner, who spoke to me and said, "I can change your image."
A fresh storm has reportedly struck after claims surfaced that King Charles approved a rule removing Meghan's children from the royal line of succession, a decision that has sent shockwaves through royal watchers worldwide.
It's not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, for my wife's, and for Archie's as well, because I could see where this was headed.
However, it wasn't only the news itself that caused widespread reaction. Meghan's response to the reports has left many stunned. Her unexpected reaction raised even more questions than the decision itself. Why would King Charles take such a step now? What circumstances led to such a bold move? As we explore the real reason behind the reported removal of Meghan and Harry's children from the line of succession, public interest has intensified, especially following claims that the king made several attempts to see his grandchildren. Intro 4. According to a Palace insider, those attempts were allegedly rejected by Meghan, who reportedly believes the royal family has not treated her or her children fairly. Both Harry and Meghan are said to be deeply upset by the decision, which came as a surprise not only to them, but also to many who felt the rift within the family was beginning to heal. Amid this tense atmosphere, one pressing question continues to surface. Can a reigning monarch truly remove children from the line of succession? Many find the idea unlikely, as royal succession is governed by long-standing laws rather than personal authority. To understand whether such power exists, it's essential to look back at how the royal line of succession was formed. In the early English monarchy, succession was guided by tradition, bloodlines, and practical arrangements meant to preserve stability. Over time, political conflict forced Parliament to intervene, transforming succession from a family matter into a legal one. This shift became formalized with the Bill of Rights in 1689 and was further reinforced by the Act of Settlement in 1701, which placed succession firmly under parliamentary control. These laws significantly limited the monarch's authority, making it nearly impossible for a king to alter the line of succession unilaterally. Centuries later, evolving public values led to modern reforms, most notably the Succession to the Crown Act of 2013, which updated outdated rules such as ending male preference primogeniture to reflect a more modern society. The law removed that distinction entirely, making birth order more important than gender. The 2013 Act also ended the rule that had long barred anyone who married a Catholic from inheriting the throne, a restriction that had sidelined several heirs in past centuries. Under the new law, marrying a Catholic no longer forces someone out of the line of succession. At the same time, the Act replaced the Royal Marriages Act of 1772, which had required the sovereign's approval for royal marriages and had caused serious problems in the past, as children from unapproved unions were considered illegitimate and therefore ineligible to inherit the crown. By passing the 2013 legislation, Parliament removed that risk entirely. History offers a powerful example of how removal from the succession actually works. In 1936, when Edward VII chose to abdicate, he could not simply step aside on his own. Parliament had to pass the Abdication Act to make it official, and that law also removed his future children from the line of succession. This remains one of the clearest demonstrations that only Parliament, not the monarch, has the authority to alter succession. Even Edward VII himself had no power to influence his position without parliamentary approval. The pattern has remained consistent whenever the issue arises. Any change to the line of succession requires a formal legal process, not a royal command. Furthermore, because the British monarch is shared with several Commonwealth nations, countries such as Canada and Australia must also approve any succession changes, adding yet another layer of protection against unilateral action. While kings and queens do retain limited authority in other areas, such as issuing letters patent to adjust titles, styles, or honors including who may be called prince or princess, these powers do not affect succession. Titles are separate from the legal right to inherit the crown, meaning someone can lose a royal style yet remain firmly in the line. Modern succession is therefore governed almost entirely by statute, rooted in laws like the Bill of Rights, the Act of Settlement, and the Succession to the Crown Act 2013. Together, these laws ensure that no monarch can remove anyone from succession based on personal conflict or public pressure. History repeatedly confirms this principle. In modern times, no monarch has ever removed an individual from the line of succession, as only Parliament holds that authority. A clear example of this principle is Prince Andrew. Despite losing his military titles and the style of His Royal Highness, he was never removed from the line of succession, and his position remains exactly where it was before his public controversies began. This demonstrates that while titles and honors can be altered, succession rights remain untouched unless Parliament decides otherwise. The monarchy does not have the authority to reshape the future of the crown based on personal judgment. The same legal reality applies to questions about whether King Charles could remove the children of Prince Harry and Meghan from the line of succession. The answer is straightforward and firmly rooted in law. He cannot. Regardless of strained family relationships or intense media speculation, the king has no legal power to erase anyone's place in the succession. Only Parliament, with the agreement of the Commonwealth realms, could make such a change, and historically Parliament has acted only in extreme national circumstances, not private family disputes. When examined fully, the conclusion is consistent. The monarchy may appear powerful, but its future is governed by law, not personal will. The line of succession is protected by centuries of legal decisions designed to prevent instability or sudden changes driven by internal conflicts. A king may alter how someone is addressed, limit their public role, or remove certain titles, but he cannot take away their legal right to inherit the crown. Succession remains exactly where Parliament has placed it, and the monarchy operates within those boundaries. However, while Meghan's children cannot be removed from the line of succession, ongoing tensions with the royal family continue to affect them in other ways. To understand how, it's important to look at what Prince Harry and Meghan's break from royal duties truly meant. When the couple announced in January 2020 that they would step back from senior royal roles, the consequences were immediate, marking a clear shift away from the responsibilities carried by working royals such as Prince William and others who represent the monarchy in public life. From that moment on, their role shifted into something entirely different from the structure they had been part of since their marriage. They announced their intention to pursue financial independence, and the palace adjusted its expectations accordingly, reshaping every aspect of their royal identity to reflect their new status outside the frontline of the monarchy. By early 2021, it became clear that they would not return to their former roles, prompting Buckingham Palace to confirm that several patronages and honorary appointments linked to them would be returned and reassigned to working royals who could carry out those duties in an official capacity. Many of these roles were closely connected to charities, cultural institutions, and military organizations that rely on the visibility and engagement of a working royal. By stepping away, the couple disconnected from the institutional network that had once linked them to major public-facing organizations. As part of this transition, they also stopped using the style of His and Her Royal Highness in any official context. While they retained their titles as Duke and Duchess, the palace made it clear that those styles could no longer be used in a working capacity, establishing firm boundaries around how they presented themselves publicly, particularly in settings governed by royal protocol. Financially, the change was significant. They no longer received funding from the sovereign grant or financial support from the Duchy of Cornwall, which had previously covered Prince Harry's royal duties. With those resources withdrawn, the couple became fully responsible for generating their own income, leading to the commercial ventures that followed, including streaming deals, speaking engagements, publishing projects, and business partnerships. One of the most consequential issues in their transition, however, involved security. This challenge did not emerge overnight. It began in 2020 when they formally stepped down as senior working royals and relocated to the United States. With that decision, they lost the taxpayer-funded security protection reserved for active members of the royal family, a development that would later become one of the most contentious and complex aspects of their separation from royal life. Initially, many assumed the couple would quietly make their own security arrangements, but the issue quickly became complicated, particularly when Prince Harry returned to the United Kingdom. Harry argued that even as a non-working royal, he and his family continued to face serious security threats. He stated that he had offered to personally pay for police protection during UK visits, but that request was rejected by the Home Office. In response, Harry launched multiple legal challenges. The first major case questioned the decision to deny him automatic police protection and sought a judicial review of how those security decisions were made. The High Court ultimately ruled against him, concluding that the decision was neither unlawful nor irrational, while acknowledging his concerns and affirming the government's authority to set security policy. A separate case examined whether Harry could privately fund specialist UK police protection, but this request was also denied, with officials arguing that public police services cannot be hired, even by those willing to pay. Alongside these cases, Harry pursued several lawsuits against major British media organizations, alleging phone hacking, unlawful data collection, and long-standing privacy violations dating back to his teenage years. These legal battles were extensive, costly, and highly public, requiring Harry to appear in court, an extremely rare move for a senior royal. One landmark case against the publishers of the Daily Mirror made history when Harry became the first senior royal in over a century to testify in open court. Some of his claims succeeded, with courts ruling that his privacy had been violated and awarding damages, but the lawsuits also intensified media scrutiny, turning each court appearance into a headline. Meghan faced her own high-profile legal battle with the Mail on Sunday after it published portions of a private letter she had written to her estranged father, a case she won when the court ruled it a clear breach of privacy. Together, these lawsuits marked a sharp departure from the royal family's traditional approach to dealing with the press. At the same time, Harry and Meghan returned the honorary military appointments that had once connected Harry to ceremonial roles within the armed forces. For years, these positions symbolized the monarchy's link to Britain's military institutions, but they were formally reassigned to other working royals following the couple's decision to step back from official duties. While these changes ended Harry's ceremonial military roles, they did not erase his decade of active service or his deployments, which remain a defining part of his personal history. All of these developments followed Harry and Meghan's departure from royal life, yet one central question remains: what truly caused the rift between Harry and the royal family? As the story continues, the answer may be more surprising than expected. Long before wedding plans were underway, there were already quiet reservations within the royal household about Harry's relationship with Meghan. Senior figures, shaped by decades of tradition and experience with royal marriages, observed how quickly the relationship progressed and responded not with dramatic opposition, but with the cautious tone that often guides internal discussions about new partners entering the royal fold. Meghan's background immediately drew attention within the royal family. She had a professional career in entertainment, had been previously married, and had spent most of her life outside the traditional circles surrounding the royals. These details made the institution cautious from the outset. Once Meghan became publicly known as Harry's partner, media scrutiny intensified almost instantly. Royal advisors noted her visibility and anticipated that her public profile would bring a level of attention the family was unaccustomed to managing. Their predictions proved accurate, as tabloids began dissecting every aspect of her life, often with racial undertones that had not been directed at previous royal partners. This early pattern served as one of the first warning signs that Meghan's relationship with the institution would be atypical. Harry reacted swiftly, issuing a public statement calling out the press for racial and sexist coverage, an unusual move for a royal, particularly one not yet married. The palace, by contrast, responded slowly and traditionally, creating an early misalignment in approach and the first cracks between Harry and the monarchy. Once Meghan officially joined the royal family, internal tensions became clearer. Reports later revealed disagreements with some palace staff who described her expectations as high, while Meghan maintained she was simply seeking normal accountability. Internal complaints were filed, and details eventually leaked to the press, widening the conflict. The situation escalated further before the wedding when Meghan's father gave interviews and shared private messages, generating headlines the palace could not control. Each leak added stress and public perception of a divided family. Compounding the tension, further issues arose after their son was born, when Meghan and Harry claimed that members of the royal family had asked intrusive questions about the baby's skin tone, a revelation that intensified the already fraught dynamics within the household and contributed to the couple's eventual decision to step back from senior royal duties. The discussion around Archie's skin tone changed everything, transforming what had begun as a media conflict into a serious allegation of racism within the royal family. It also highlighted how isolated Harry and Meghan felt, believing the palace should have intervened to prevent such unfair treatment long before tensions escalated. Ultimately, the couple's sense of being unprotected and exposed drove much of the conflict. This has led many to speculate about whether Harry could one day lose his royal titles, but the answer is more nuanced than many assume. In the British royal system, titles carry far more than ceremonial weight. They signify status, duty, and heritage. A prince, for instance, is typically a direct descendant of the monarch, such as a son or grandson, with his title reflecting both bloodline and seniority. Dukedoms, like the Duke of Sussex, are noble ranks granted by the monarch on special occasions, often marriage, and may be given to royals or non-royals. The style His or Her Royal Highness, HRH, further signals active working royal status, granting privileges and formal recognition, though it is not automatically inherited or permanent. Titles can be granted or removed at the monarch's discretion, and in some cases, legal or parliamentary approval is required. Prince Harry was granted the Duke of Sussex title by Queen Elizabeth II in 2018, a mark of trust and recognition, but stepping back from royal duties as he and Meghan did in early 2020 is distinct from abdicating or losing titles. Stepping back meant they voluntarily ceased public representation of the crown while retaining their bloodline status and titles, unlike abdication, which is formal, irreversible, and carries consequences for succession. King Edward VII's abdication in 1936 illustrates this distinction. He gave up the throne to Mary Wallis Simpson, became Duke of Windsor, lost the style His Majesty, and his wife was never granted HRH, establishing strict limits on their royal standing. Similarly, after divorcing Prince Charles in 1996, Princess Diana lost the HRH style and became Diana, Princess of Wales, while remaining the mother of future King William. Losing HRH does not remove royal blood but limits official recognition, ceremonial precedence, and the ability to act as a working royal, underscoring the legal and symbolic boundaries of monarchy titles. When it comes to royal titles, the monarch holds the central authority. Titles such as Prince, Duke, and the style of His or Her Royal Highness are granted by the Crown and can be given or withdrawn at the monarch's discretion. However, certain titles, particularly peerages like dukedoms, may require formal legal steps for removal, sometimes involving Parliament. For example, the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, passed during World War I, allowed the British government to strip titles from those who sided with enemy nations such as the Duke of Albany and the Duke of Cumberland, but this law has rarely been used since. Title removal under modern law is generally reserved for extreme cases like treason, not stepping back from royal duties or facing public controversy. Prince Harry, for instance, still holds the Duke of Sussex title and remains a prince, though he no longer uses the HRH style in official settings, a choice made with the Queen's agreement. Even Prince Andrew, despite legal troubles and public scrutiny, retained his Duke of York title while losing military roles and patronages. These examples show that stepping back from royal duties does not automatically mean losing titles. King Charles does have the power to remove Harry's titles, but such an action carries political risk, could divide public opinion, and might exacerbate family tensions. Unless Harry crosses a more serious line, it is likely the king will avoid taking such drastic steps. And when it comes to Meghan's children, the same rules apply. No monarch can unilaterally remove them from the line of succession. The legal and constitutional system, shaped over centuries, protects their rights regardless of family disputes or media speculation.